Hello neighbors, this is Councillor Gian-Carlo, and this is my video to you explaining why on November 13th I'm going to be voting yes in the plebiscite regarding whether Calgary should bid for the 2026 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games. There are really three things that have driven my thinking on this, and I want to share them with you because I think there's a tremendous amount of misinformation out there, and the pervasiveness of the misinformation is astounding. Every single day I find myself talking about the Olympics at length with citizens everywhere, whether it's in my meetings where we're supposed to be talking about other things, whether it's at the grocery store, on the street, at community meetings. So let's get into this. There are really sort of three things that have sort of organized my decision around a yes vote. The first one is, of course, the financial side of this. And the financial side of this is what sort of, I think, sucked up all the oxygen in the room and drowned out the other aspects of it. The next aspect is what I call all the good stuff. It's the legacy. It's connecting to who we were in '88, extending our ability to be a center of excellence for winter sports on the world stage. But it's also about our ability to tell our story to the rest of the world. And we did that super effectively in 1988. And the reality is we're a much different city now. And I believe a city with a much more compelling story to tell. And so the opportunity to talk about gender equity and diversity, to talk about our unbelievable pluralism as a project of civilization, our commitment to truth and reconciliation, accessibility, all of these things that make Calgary who and what Calgary are as we poise to leap into success for the next century, really important. And then the final thing, I think, is Spotlight. And Spotlight in some ways is connected to legacy, but the reality is that for the next 8 years, with the Winter Olympics coming here, we can not only tell a different story about Calgary, but it can help put Calgary on the map. And as we start to develop the economies that will, and the businesses that will drive Calgary's success for the next century. And it will not be a city of just oil and gas anymore. It has to be a city of many more things. I have the opportunity to work with many of the entrepreneurs, many of the business people who are establishing that foundation of economic success for our city for the next century. And to a man and a woman, what they're telling me is that when they go out into the world and try and attract Calgary so they can build their businesses, to attract talent to Calgary, what they're finding is that they're not selling our city, they're selling Canada and Canadian citizenship. And that's fine, but it would be fabulous if we could also sell Calgary. The other thing, which is even more important, is when they go out and they talk about bringing wealth and venture capital to help them run these businesses. What the venture capitalists, what the investors are saying is Calgary who? Calgary where? Why Calgary? And the opportunity to have an Olympic spotlight shined on the city gets them significantly over that hump. And so I think Spotlight is a huge, important thing. It's part of our marketing. The legacy is super important. Now let's get to the money. The question has always been about trying to leverage our tax dollars back to Calgary. And the first thing that everyone has to understand is that for every dollar of tax that is paid by Calgarians inside the city of Calgary to the three orders of government, we send billions and billions more to Ottawa and Edmonton than ever come back to us. We're talking about 8 cents on the dollar. For every dollar of tax that's collected, 92 cents goes to the rest of the country, the rest of the province, and that's fine. But the argument that I make and that my colleagues on Calgary City Council make as your board of directors is that if you want Calgary to continue to be the goose that's laying the golden egg, we have to feed the goose. And we have to give it the nourishment it needs to be able to continue to generate those kinds of tax dollars to support the lifestyle of Alberta and to support the lifestyle of Canadians. And so my mission is to fight to get incrementally more than 8 cents on the dollar back every year, year after year. And as a financial proposition, that's what the Olympics are. They are an attempt to leverage an international event to bring more of our tax dollars back in the service of Calgarians, and then to get international investment and activity happening in this city. So the economic deal was always about how much can we get back of other people's money or rebates of our money, and how much of our money that we keep would we have to spend. And the deal that's emerged, very recently is a much better deal than I was hoping for. The question is, how much of our money do we have to spend? And of that percentage of the money that we have to spend, how much of that is throwaway? And so here's the deal. $390-ish million of our money have to be spent to get $4.4 billion flowing through our economy. That's what you hear about the 10-to-1. The question is all of that money going to stick? Is some of that money that would have been spent in our economy otherwise? Yeah, but the overwhelming significant majority of it is money that wouldn't be coming to Calgary. So $4.4 billion of money flowing through our economy, and we have to spend $390 million. Of that $390 million, only $40 million is throwaway money. Everything else is stuff that we would have spent on anyway. That is way better than I was hoping for, and that makes a ton of sense. So from an economic perspective, let's do this. The other thing that is really important is the opportunity cost conversation. And I think it's important for people to realize that this is not the last ask for our money that we can get back. And some of my colleagues who are opposed to this bid, some of the people who are arguing about the opportunity costs are saying, is there other things that we want this money for? This money specifically is not for anything other than running the Olympics, the $4.4 billion. Is there other ways to get more money? Yes. Does this prevent us from getting there? My answer to you is no, it doesn't. This actually, I believe, leverages our ability to go after more money. We can say the Olympics are coming, we also need these things, and we can go after that money as well. So if you're concerned that this is shutting down our ability to get a new arena, shutting down our ability to get transit to the airport, shutting down our ability to introduce passenger rail from Calgary out to the mountains, shutting down our opportunity to address Olympic Plaza and Arts Commons and all of our main streets and stuff, I believe that going after the Olympics and bringing that activity here will allow us to leverage and get more money. So let's just talk about the over budget thing very quickly. Olympics go over budget in three ways. Number one, on the operating side, it hasn't happened with an Olympics since 2000. And Calgary 88 was one of the early examples of running the games at a profit. I 100% expect us to do that. Generally, Olympics go over on the capital side, and they go over on the capital side in two ways. Number one is you say, we're going to build this facility for $200 million, and it costs you $350 million, and you start ballooning over budget in that way. Calgarians do not do that. Your city government does not do that. Your bidco will not do that. We bring in projects on time, on budget. We have healthy contingencies built into this budget, as well as insurance policies that help backstop that. So that is, not a problem. The other place where Olympics go over budget is in all the ways I think Olympics should go over budget. And that is, take for example, Vancouver. They budgeted, I don't know, it was something like $7 billion to run the games. And opponents and critics of the Olympics say, well, that actually cost them $11 billion. What those critics are doing is they're taking additional projects that they were able to fast track and get built outside of the Olympic budget and accruing that to the games. So the Canada line, which was their transit line from the airport to the downtown, not an Olympic project, but built in time for the Olympics because they were able to leverage that and make it happen. Their convention center, considered the best in the world, also not an Olympic project, but lumped in to what the Olympics were able to do for Vancouver. And finally, the Sea to Sky Highway connecting Vancouver to Whistler, that was always on the docket, never really done. The Olympics were coming, the provincial government made it happen. So I'm telling you that I want the Olympics to go over budget in that way. We have our budget to run the Olympics, and I want to go after more money to build the things that we need. I want us to have a great conversation about who and what we are as a people, and this is a very clarifying way to do that. And I want to support our businesses as they go out and bring in international talent and international investment to drive and to establish the economy that will drive Calgary's success far into the future. So please, on November 13th, come with me to the polls and let's vote yes.